Imagine a war hero, a man who risked everything for his country. He's standing alone in a parking lot, barred from his own son's graduation. Now picture 6 young Navy SEALs, their uniforms gleaming, marching to his side to right a wrong. This isn't just a story, it's a battle for dignity. It's about to unfold in a way you won't forget. The auditorium hummed with anticipation. A sea of proud parents in tailored suits and bright dresses, their faces lit with the glow of a milestone moment. In the back row sat Sergeant Major Isaiah Brooks, his Bronze Star and Purple Heart pinned beneath his weathered marine dress blues. He'd arrived early, not out of habit, but because this was his son Caleb's college graduation, a day he'd fought for through years of deployments and sleepless nights. The ticket in his hand creased from being clutched too tightly. It bore Caleb's name in bold print and a scrawled note. "Dad, you're the reason I'm here. Please come." Isaiah's broad shoulders still strong despite the years carried. The weight of a life spent serving a life that had earned him scars, medals, and the kind of glances he'd learned to ignore. Today, though, those glances stung. Few parents in the reserved section where Isaiah sat whispered and stared, their eyes lingering on his shaved head, his dark skin, his uniform that seemed out of place among their designer clothes. To security, guards approached, their polished shoes clicking against the polished floor. The first, holding a clipboard, scanned Isaiah's row with a frown. "Sir," he said, his tone clipped, "this section's for family only. Can I see your ticket?" Isaiah held it up, his voice steady. "I'm Caleb's father." The guard squinted, then shook his head. "You need to verify this against the guest list. Step outside, please." The second guard, younger and sterner, gestured toward the exit. Isaiah's chest tightened, but he stood, his movements deliberate, his eyes never leaving the guards. A few parents watched, some with curiosity, others with discomfort. Isaiah followed them into the hallway, the auditorium's buzz fading behind him. Minutes dragged on as Isaiah stood in the cold, fluorescent-lit corridor. The guards returned, their faces unreadable. "There's no record of you on the verified list," the clipboard guard said. "You'll need to leave campus." Isaiah's hands clenched, the ticket crumpling in his fist. "I fought for this country," he said, his voice low but firm. "My son invited me. This is his day." That. The younger guard stepped closer, his hand hovering near his radio. "We don't want trouble, sir. Head to the parking lot." For a moment, Isaiah's mind flashed to battles he'd fought, deserts, jungles, moments when he'd stared down death without flinching. But this wasn't a battlefield. It was his son's graduation, and he wouldn't let Caleb look out into the crowd and find an empty seat. He turned, his boots heavy on the tile, and began walking toward the exit. Inside the auditorium, Caleb sat among his graduating class, his cap slightly askew, his eyes scanning the reserve section. He'd seen his dad earlier, that unmistakable silhouette in dress blues, a beacon in the crowd. But now the seat was empty. His phone buzzed in his pocket in a reply to his text. "Dad, where are you?" Knot formed in his chest, tightening. With every passing minute, beside him, his best friend, Javier Torres, a newly minted Navy SEAL, noticed Caleb's unease. "What's wrong?" Javier asked, leaning closer. Caleb showed him the phone. "My dad's gone." It was right there. Javier's eyes narrowed, and he glanced at the other SEALs in their row. 5 young men, their dress whites crisp, their faces hardened by training but softened by loyalty. "Your dad's Sergeant Major Brooks, right?" Javier said. Caleb nodded. Without a word, the 6 SEALs rose, their movements silent and synchronized, and slipped out of the graduation line. In the hallway, Isaiah's steps slowed as he neared the parking lot doors. The weight of the moment pressed against him, not just the indignity of being turned away, but the thought of Caleb searching for him, wondering why he wasn't there. Sergeant Major Brooks' voice called, sharp and commanding. Isaiah turned to see Javier at the head of the 6 SEALs, their uniforms a stark contrast to the dim corridor. Javier stepped forward, his posture rigid with respect. "Did they just ask you to leave?" Isaiah nodded, his jaw tight. Said, "I'm not on the list." The youngest SEAL, a wiry kid named Daniels, clenched his fists. "You're a decorated Marine. Your son's graduating today." "This is bullshit." Javier held up a hand, silencing him, then turned back to Isaiah. "Follow us, sir." Dada got marched back toward the auditorium, their boots echoing like a drumbeat. The guards reappeared at the doors, their faces hardening. "We told you to leave," the clipboard guard said, his voice edged with irritation. Daniel stepped forward, his eyes blazing. Stand down. This man has a Bronze Star, a Purple Heart, and a son graduating right now. Another SEAL, a towering figure named Reynolds, flashed a Department of Defense ID. Want to explain to the Pentagon why you're kicking a war hero out of a public event? The guards froze, their confidence crumbling under the weight of 6 pairs of eyes trained on them like lasers. Isaiah felt something shift inside him. For years, he'd faced moments like this: sideways glances, assumptions, dismissals. He'd learned to swallow the anger, to keep moving forward. But now, these young men, barely older than Caleb, stood with him, their presence a shield against the world's indifference. Javier pushed open the auditorium doors, and the SEALs flanked Isaiah as they walked down the center aisle. The crowd hushed, heads turning, phones rising to capture the moment. Parents whispered, some in awe, others in confusion. The dean, mid-speech on stage, paused, his eyes widening as he saw the procession. Caleb, still in the graduate line, spotted his dad and the SEALs, his breath catching. His father wasn't just back, he was being escorted like a general. Isaiah took his seat in the front row, SEALs positioning themselves strategically to at either end of the row, the rest standing at ease behind him. The audience's murmurs grew, a mix of admiration and curiosity. The announcer called Caleb's name, and he rose, his heart pounding. Halfway to the stage, he stopped, turned, and faced his father. The auditorium fell silent. Caleb snapped. A crisp salute. Permission to graduate, Sergeant Major, he shouted, his voice carrying over the crowd. Isaiah stood slowly, his eyes glistening but his posture unwavering. Permission granted, son, he said, his deep voice resonating with pride. The crowd erupted, some stood, others clapped, a few wiped tears. Even the guards, now lingering at the back, watched in silence. Their earlier authority reduced to nothing. The ceremony continued, but the moment lingered. After Caleb crossed the stage, diploma in hand, he made his way to his father. The SEALs stepped back, giving them space, but their presence remained a quiet testament to what had just happened. Reporters swarmed outside, eager for a story, but Isaiah and Caleb didn't talk about the guards or the list. They spoke of Servicize's years in war zones, Caleb's journey through college, and the bond that had carried them both. Javier, standing nearby, clapped Isaiah on the shoulder. You raised a hell of a man, sir. That makes you our hero, too. Isaiah smiled, a rare crack in his stoic facade. You didn't have to do this, he said quietly. I shook his head. Yes, we did. The story didn't end in the auditorium. Word spread like wildfire, first through whispers, then through posts on X, videos shared across platforms. Strangers reached out, inspired by the SEAL's stand, by Isaiah's quiet strength, by Caleb's salute. A local veterans group started a fund in Isaiah's name, helping other military families attend their loved ones' milestones without fear of being turned away. The university issued a quiet apology and the guards were reassigned, their actions a footnote in a story that had grown far beyond them. Isaiah, once an outsider in his own country, became a symbol not just of sacrifice, but of a community that refused to let its heroes be forgotten. That night, as Isaiah and Caleb sat in their small living room, the weight of the day settled around them. Caleb looked at his dad, the man who'd taught him what it meant to stand tall. I was scared you wouldn't be there, he admitted. Isaiah's eyes softened. I'll always be there, son. Always. And in that moment, it wasn't just about a graduation. It was about a father's love, a son's pride, and a group of young warriors who reminded the world that heroes don't stand alone. If this story moves you, don't let it stop here. Share it. Tell someone about Isaiah, Caleb, and the SEALs who turned a moment of injustice into a triumph of loyalty. Subscribe if you believe in a world where dignity wins. Be the reason someone still believes in standing up for what's right.